Computer Science A, Unit 4, Lesson 4, Algorithms for Strings. In this lesson, you will learn to identify and modify standard string algorithms and develop algorithms on strings. Let's start out with some counting substrings. There are several standard algorithms we can develop using string traversals. For example, suppose we want to find the number of times the letter E appears in a string. First thing we're going to do is we're going to initialize a count to 0. Then we need to loop from the beginning of the string until the end of the string. So from the first character at location 0 to the last letter. And then we're going to look at each letter one at a time. String.substring I, I plus 1 is the code that we use to get one letter at a time. And then we're going to use the string function dot equals E. So we're going to look at each letter, starting with the beginning, going all the way to the end, and seeing if it's an E. If it is, if this condition is true, the letter at location I is an E, we're going to increment the count by 1. Once we get all the way through the loop, we're going to output the count. That's it. What happens if we want to look for an entire substring, some set of letters? Well, we can also iterate through more than just one character at a time if we use substrings, but we do have to be careful. Notice that this code looks very much the same. We have a count, we start at the beginning, and we go to the end, but we go to the end minus 1. Because we are going to look at 2 characters, we're going to find every time there's a TH, we're going to look at 2 characters, we have to be careful that we don't go to the end of the string and try to go to the last character and one past it, because there's nothing past the end. We want to go to the second to last character. Therefore, we have to go to the string.length minus 1. And again, if we were going to look for 3 characters, THS, then we would need this to be a minus 2, and so on. You just want to be careful that you don't wind up with an out of bounds error. And again, the same thing is every time that you would find the 2 letters that equal TH, you'd increment the count and you would output that count. Now, removing substrings in a loop. Another common algorithm involves removing substrings that match a given condition. Another way to think about this is building a new string that only has the letters which don't match the condition. We could attempt to remove substrings and glue the 2 pieces of a string back together. But you will see in the code below that building a string is much easier than cutting pieces out and gluing the other parts back together. Consider the example below, which removes all the letter I's from the word Mississippi. So here's our string, Mississippi. M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. That's how I learned how to spell Mississippi. The new string is set to the null or an empty string. You start at the beginning, you go all the way to the end, 1 letter at a time. And if, notice we've got the string substring I plus 1. So this is 1 letter at a time. If it doesn't equal I, okay, if the letter is not equal to I, that's what the exclamation point out here that does. That's the not. If it's not equal to I, then new string is concatenated with that letter. So we take that letter, string.substring I plus 1. That's how we get 1 letter at a time, and we concatenate it to the new string. So the new string starts out totally empty. M is not I, so M gets put in the new string. I gets tossed, goes to the next one. It's an S, and then an S, and so on. And then we have our new string. Okay, M, crooked letter, humpback. All the I's have been removed. If you need to, pause here, make a mental note where these algorithms are so that you can come back to them if you need something similar. Very rarely in the rest of your life are you going to need to remove all the I's from the word Mississippi. But there may come another time with another program that you do need to remove 1 or more letters in a string. Create a new string. This is the process. And that ends Unit 4, Lesson 4.